It's a great day to talk hockey with Grant McCagg on HabsCast.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to HabsCast. Been a kind of a crazy day. I just did a show with Habs Digest, Josh and Jesse. We had a good chat. I interviewed AJ Jakubec this morning. He's the host of The Drive, TSN 1200 Ottawa. We talked about the game last night and about the Senators and stuff. It's kind of nice to get some feedback on other teams. And hey, Montreal's closest rivalry is Ottawa, right? An interesting conversation that we had that I'll be playing throughout this podcast. I've been championing the call up of Reinbacher, and evidently next Monday there'll be enough cap room finally. I mean, I've been critical of it, but I don't know. If they'd have lost those two games, and they could very well have done it, no thanks to Alex Carrier, as far as I'm concerned. They're in a different situation than they are today. I don't know what's going on there. Like with Carrier, he's been a different player this year. I find, compared to last year when he first came up, he just hasn't been the same player. And you can keep going back to the well with the same players, but when they're struggling, I think you really have to look at other options. Look, they finally did it with Monty, right? After how many opportunities. Fowler comes in. Let's face it, if Monty's in nets last night, they probably don't win that game. They were lucky to beat Toronto, who is playing terrible hockey lately. What if they lost those two games? And what if they lose these two games this weekend with a leaky defense, one of the worst in the league, porous penalty kill, and Alex Carrier is a big part of that, being on the first PK unit? I'm just, I'm still not convinced that. I think Hughes was rolling the dice when he didn't have to, by not making any moves to free up cap space at the deadline, because I really think that on Sunday they should have been able to call up Reinbacher and Fowler, and yes, they were able to bring up Fowler, and thank goodness, because he saved their bacon last night. Again, if it would have been Monty and nets, I think it would have been a different story. And now, conversely here, I don't have confidence in Alex Carrier right now. He's struggling. He was the worst Hab on the ice as far as I was concerned last night, and that's not the first time this year, and in recent months too. He'll maybe have one decent game out of every four, or whatever the case may be. The Canadians are they've got one sure thing on the right side, and that's Dobson. And even he has his struggles at times, but they have no surefire shutdown type right pairing defenseman. They're playing left-handed shots on the right. They've got Dobson there; he's the best bet, and then Carrier. It's not good enough. I think going into the playoffs here, and I believe it was shown last year at playoff time, Carrier is not the best option on defense at playoff time, especially when you play a big physical team. He's willing, but I don't find that he's that able, and it's just he's not big enough. They already have Hudson, who's undersized, Carrier undersized, and again he works hard, he's competitive, but he's averaging 19 minutes a game this year, and on the top PK, and I just don't see that being a recipe for any kind of playoff success, having a left-handed defenseman playing on the right side, and Carrier playing 19 minutes, and Dobson. It's just not. They need an upgrade. And if you've seen any of the videos that I've put out on Reinbacher in recent weeks, he's just gotten better and better and better. He's poised. He's ready, more than ready for the NHL. I think he's ideal at playoff time, and it wouldn't make sense to wait till the playoffs to call him up. I think they've got 5 call-ups. They've used one of them. Use another one on Reinbacher here. Bring him up for the rest of the year. Let him have a good look. If they don't, he'd be the first top 5 defenseman that doesn't get even one look at the NHL level with a by the age of 21. So the last one was Thomas Hickey, and that's going back a ways. So, you know, they are, as a rule, you're a top 5 defenseman, you get a look by the age of 21. Reinbacher's 21. He's played 4 pro seasons now. Yeah, he had an injury and all that, but he played 2 years in Switzerland in the Pro League. He's played with men for 4 years on and off here. So he's ready. He's ready to play with the best men, the NHL. And I think his game is made for the NHL. You know, he's made for the NHL game. He can play with good players, and I think he'll only be better playing with good players. And the best players are at the NHL level. So I want him to get called up here as soon as possible. Again, that's why I say that I think they dropped the ball by not freeing up, and they could have done it, freeing up some cap space by the trade deadline. They had months to do it so that they could call up Fowler and Reinbacher this past weekend. Would have loved to have seen Reinbacher in the. Thank goodness Fowler saved the bacon. But, you know, if it had been Monty and Nets and the mistakes that Carrier was making in that game, they lose. They lose that game to Ottawa. They get closer, and there's no guarantees that they make the playoffs. I feel a lot better about it now, but it could have gone either way with both Ottawa and Toronto. And if they'd have lost those 2 games, they'd be in trouble right now. So anyway, I don't criticize the management staff for very many things, but I think they just chanced it a little too closely by not clearing up the cap space. Yeah, I'm sure they tried to clear cap space by trading Laine or somebody at the deadline, but again, they had months to get this sorted out, right? I mean, they signed Texier, they had extra forwards. Anyway, let's hope that they make the playoffs here. It doesn't come back to bite them. I just wish that they, you know, that they weren't in this spot, and that that Reinbacher, I think he's ready to be called up, and he needs as many games as possible before the end of the season here to see if he's ready for the playoffs, because I really believe it's the young group that's they're gonna sink or swim with the young group that they have here, and the sooner, the best development possible for Reinbacher here would be to play down the stretch and in the NHL playoffs. You're a top 5 pick. That's your destiny. It's what he's supposed to be doing. I hope he does it. It's not rushing him. He's been the best player on Laval every time I've seen him in the past month. Just easily the best player. So it's not rushing him. Get him up, and you know, the East to me is wide open. It really is, and I think that they have to call him up as soon as they've got the cap room, which reportedly will be next Monday. Hopefully it won't be after a couple of losses, but we'll see. We'll see against Anaheim and San Jose. All right, I'm going to play some of the interview I did earlier today with. I'm gonna do some of the interview with AJ Jakubec, host of the TSN 1200's The Drive afternoons, Ottawa radio. A great interview. I'll stop it at some point. I'll keep going through people's thoughts and comments here in the live chat. I'll also join in a bit and maybe reply to a couple of things as we go here. But anyway, somebody's saying the earliest is the 17th. I've heard Monday, but I'll just deal with a couple of comments here before I start. Carey's been a good stopgap with having two small D-men, generally not a recipe for playoff success. He's the odd man out. Yeah, or at least I think he should be not playing 19 minutes a game. Either the odd man out or the sixth defenseman playing 8 to 12 minutes, right? Hage, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's the other thing. They got to have the cap space. Like if Michigan's out early, they may not be able to sign him anyways because they don't have the cap space. But apparently he could play the last 2 games of the year. Anyway, it's all because of cap space, but it looks like they might be able to have Hage, Reinbacher, and Fowler all up. And they have to, as far as I'm concerned. They all need looks at the end of the year here because I think all 3 could possibly help at playoff time. Would love to see Reinbacher. Don't think he can come up for a handful of games for cap reasons. Yeah, no, that's right. As I've detailed here. All right, let's get to the AJ interview, and I'll play some of it here, and then get to some comments and keep going through the interview. Just gonna click that off, and we'll start this up. By the way, I was a little fuzzy at the start here, but I got it sorted out. I had to go down to 480p from 720. It doesn't make sense, but it worked.
Good morning, everyone. I am joined by AJ Jakubec. Okay, I'm going to start this over because it's going to be afternoon. Just hang on.
Well, to me, it's not like the Ottawa Senators deserve to win. They probably should have got something out of that game, but no question, wasn't difficult choosing who the first star was last night in that hockey game. It was definitely Jacob Fowler. He was fantastic and great pedigree. I mean, is he ready to carry the load this year? I guess that's the $1 million question. They've had pretty good success with that in the past with untested guys in the playoffs. When you think of Dryden and Waugh in particular, right. Is he the next Dryden or Waugh? I guess we'll wait and see. Again, great pedigree and won the World Juniors and great college career and won a USHL title. So there's a lot to like, and he's played really well for Laval. The numbers are good there. But no doubt for the Canadians, a team desperate for another guy to make some saves, to have him come up and play like that, has to be music to the ears of that fan base.
Absolutely. I seem to be a little blurry here and I can't do much about it, but that I feel a little blurry, so it's probably apropos. Yes, I do I look blurry to you on the screen there?
I don't know. I can't tell if it's slightly, but not fully. How about that?
Okay, good. Well, you look a lot clearer, and that's probably good because you're a lot more handsome young man than I am. So let's get into it here. The Senators, it's safe to say, I think losing last night kind of sealed their chances of catching Montreal, I think, in the in their chase to, they gotta pass two teams to get to the playoffs here, right? Columbus is the other one that's out of the wild card right now. They've been just as hot as the Sens. The Sens are now 9-2-2 in their last 13, which is, still fantastic. But they do have Jake Sanderson out right now. You have any kind of an inclination of how long you think he might be out on this? I guess we're all sort of guessing, right?
Yeah, they said week to week. The way I read that, and in terms of what they're saying, week to week could be anything, but the way I read it and how it's been explained is like he's not going to be out for the rest of the regular season. Right. If he was going to be out at least a month, then I think they would say month to month. Yeah. But so it's probably 2 to 4 weeks from the time of the injury. It's not ideal when you're trying to make up ground. And, that was the other thing last night. I think they missed him, especially late. I think they've got 6 NHL top 6 defensemen, but it's a lot easier to replace a 5 or a 6 than a guy who's, one of the 10 best defensemen in the league right now. So from that perspective, they miss him. I think they're a deep team, though. I think they've got 13 forwards that you feel comfortable playing. Like, I feel comfortable if Stephen Halliday has to come in and play in your bottom 6, that he's going to come in and do a job. He's a guy that's looked like an NHL player. And I do like Matt and Paolo. So, he's good enough to play on the bronze medal winning team at the Olympics and the Four Nations. And I think he's a solid 5'6". He's not more than that, but still a solid NHL defenseman. So that at least is good. The biggest issue right now is the consistency of goaltending. And when they've gone 9-2-2 in the last 13 games, the numbers in terms of, the goalies has been a lot better than it was early in the season. I think that's the biggest story this year for the Ottawa Senators. If they get league average goaltending, they generally win in and around 80 to 90% of the time. If they don't, well, it's going to be a struggle. And last night wasn't good enough. So I agree with you that, it's hard to imagine Ottawa making up 9 points on the Habs. Like, I just don't expect any kind of implosion from Montreal. Even when they don't play well, they win games because they're able to, they're a team that, like, it's not exactly like Edmonton, but I watch Edmonton a lot as someone that's from there.
All right.
The Oilers outscore their problems, and the Canadians are able to do that at times. So, and they're never out of a game. So I just think I never really thought they were going to catch Montreal anyways, but last night pretty much sealed it. So now you're looking at, okay, you got 5 teams, you got to catch 2 of them. One of them has to be at least Boston or Detroit. I think they're both catchable. I'm not sold on the Red Wings at all. Negative goal difference. They got some key injuries right now, and they've always had hiccups at this time of year. I'm just not convinced that they're for real. So I think that is, like, even though Boston's a little closer in the standings, I think Detroit might even be more catchable. You have to catch one of those teams, and then you have to catch one of Columbus, the Islanders, or Pittsburgh. I'm still of the opinion they're 50-50 to make the playoffs. And Vegas, I always look at Vegas. I always look at the odds just because, like, it's easy if you're running a site to put out, here's the playoff probabilities. But, if it doesn't, like, some sites do it with analytics, which favors the Senators because their underlying numbers, other than the goaltending, are really good. And then some don't, right? So sometimes you'll see Ottawa at 50% on one site and 30% at another. And it's really hard to kind of gauge, okay, which one is it? Well, I like looking at Vegas 44. Because they got a vested interest in making this right. And they're not usually wrong. Like, they're going to be wrong on certain things, but they're not grossly wrong too often. There's a reason that, they're the house, and it's tough to beat the house. So
Yeah.
plus 135 right now. So those are slightly worse than 50-50 odds to make the playoffs. I'm going to say 50-50 just because I like the way they're playing. I didn't like the way they were playing right after Christmas, and I don't know how much of, the Allmark stuff was a distraction at that point. But
Yeah.
once they kind of got through the mess, and Steve Stais put out his comments, his statement, and you can say what you want about the statement, whether he should have done it, whether he should have had, the inflammatory language that he did. I know one thing, wasn't long after that, the players started playing better. So from that perspective, it seemed to work. They seemed to get
Yeah.
that behind them because they were not playing well in late December and early January. And then, since that time, they've been playing really good hockey. So I still think they're going to find a way, but
Well,
you need better goaltending than what you got last night, just because there's the margins to win in this league. Like, you don't get Vancouver very often anymore. Like, you're not going to play the Canucks
well,
the rest of the way, and there's not a lot of teams like that. So the margins to win are so slim in this league that you can't
yeah.
give up 2 goals like they did last night.
Well, I'll play the devil's advocate to that a bit. First of all, Vegas, I don't know. I don't necessarily rely on Vegas to be my hockey experts or whatever, but no, I realize they're not the people that come up with this aren't all from Vegas or whatever. So I'm sure they've got really good analytics and
I'm sure they hire the right hockey people. Trust
that's
me.
right. That's
Like,
right.
they've got a vested interest in it. And I don't,
Yeah.
I don't agree with everything. There's always value in things too, right?
Oh,
Like, there's
sure.
always teams where I say,
Like,
geez, that's, 20-1.
yeah,
Maybe you take, and I when I say that, I don't even bet, but I look at this stuff and I'm like, oh, that seems like it's pretty good value at 20-1. Like,
right.
there's different things when you watch the game that, and there's different teams as well that have fan bases that they have to, whether it's the Pittsburgh Steelers, Dallas Cowboys in the NFL, whether it's Toronto and Montreal, the Rangers, the big market teams that, because they have bigger fan bases, they have to kind of move that line a
Yeah.
little bit that way too. But beyond that, I feel like it's a pretty good gauge of, okay, this is what they think, and there's teams you might like with better value, and vice versa. But it's just a pretty good gauge to at least see what they're
Sure.
thinking, because they need to be on the ball.
Well, I don't think it's like Chumley from Pawn. What's that? Oh, Pawn Stars coming up with the odds or something. They've got, they've got pretty. And to be honest with you, though, I don't look at Vegas like I've never made a bet on a sporting event in my life, so I don't look at Vegas odds. But I'm sure, like you say, they must be. They're trying to make money, so I'm sure they've got. They put more research into it than probably anyone else. But just from what I see here, there's not many games left with divisional rivals. There's one strike against you right there. Like, the teams that are right ahead of you got one game with Detroit, none with Boston. So you sort of have to rely on other teams obviously beating these teams, right? Like, it's not like you got 3 games left with Boston and 3. You got none with Columbus, none with Boston, and those are the 2 teams just right ahead of you. But like you say, Detroit, win percentage wise, Detroit is actually below Boston, right? Like, there's that game in hand and there's 1 point difference. So
Yeah.
really, they're probably the team. That game against Detroit, obviously, you got to win that one game.
Well, and that's the thing. They've lost every game against Detroit this year.
Okay.
And
All right.
John Gibson, the second last game, that was probably the most egregious goaltending loss that they had all season. That was like right after that they signed James Reimer,
Yeah.
because it was Allmark was still out. Merrill didn't play well. Shepard came in, didn't look like an NHL goalie, and they were desperate to bring somebody in,
Yeah.
and James Reimer's been pretty good for them.
He's been above 500 so far, so that's all you can ask. Got 2 left with Tampa and the Islanders. I mean, I don't think you're going to catch Tampa either.
No.
But the Islanders, 2 games, got to win those, right? Well, you got to win pretty well all. I think like you got 11 at home, 7 on the road. So there's that, like usually your home record's better than your road. So that's a positive in Ottawa's column. You're 5 behind Detroit and Boston in row. So tying them probably isn't going to be good enough. You're going to have to get a point more. Now, if you look at the points, like their win percentage, and if they keep winning at the same percentage, obviously you don't think they're going to, because if they do, they're going to finish with 100 points. So
I don't feel like Detroit's going to finish with 100 points.
Okay, fine, but it's probably going to be close to that. And
you got to get to the high 90s for sure. Like there's no doubt about it. You're probably going to have to win 13 of 18.
Well,
and
if you have to win, if you have to get 101 points, that's 14-4. Now you went 9-2-2 in the last 13. That's actually not a good enough pace. You got to actually play better than that. Like that's less of a win percentage than 14-4. So I'm going
13-5. That's my number.
Yeah, well,
I think they're getting in at 13-5, and that's still not going to be easy, because you look, their schedule. Their schedule is better for essentially the next couple of weeks until the end of March, but that's time that Jake Sanderson's going to be out.
Well,
and then you look after that, and you've got a lot of Tampa and Carolina and Minnesota. Like early April is not going to be easy for this team. Like to me, Ottawa's got to be within a point or two of the playoffs at the very least by the end of this month. Like I don't think they're making up. Like if the gap is still, certainly 4 or 5 points, but even 3, it feels like it's going to be really tough to make that up. If you go into April with that. But like to me, they've definitely got to make some hay between now and the end of the month.
Yeah,
and that starts this weekend. Like Anaheim, San Jose. It's not going to be 2 easy games, especially Anaheim.
Without Sanderson celebrating like the young guns that they have, you wish that you had Sanderson for games like that, especially.
For sure. Right? No, Anaheim's a streaky team. I saw them a couple of weeks ago in Anaheim beat the Oilers. I mean, Edmonton was up 4-2 in that game, and man, that's a team with a lot of good young talent, and now they've added I like the fact that they've got Gudas and Trouba and now Carlson to go along with those good young defensemen.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be easy, but when you lose a game like last night and you need to play at least 700 hockey from my perspective, okay, well in the week you've got 3 games. Well, you better. Well, it's 4 because you beat Vancouver, but you better win 2 of these 3 at home, for example. So now you lost one. You lost one against Montreal. You better win these next 2. You better win the next 3, because then you've got the Islanders after that, like you said. So it does change their margin for error for sure.
Right.
But I'm not going to say, I think some people, and I always like having worked, the amount of post game shows that I have, and I don't work as many anymore, but I worked last night. I feel like when Ottawa loses to Toronto and Montreal, everything's magnified times 10, just because of the fan ratio and everything that goes along with it. And so I know some people are like, okay, that's it, season's over. It's like, I didn't feel like that way at all last night. Yeah, you missed out on another possible team that you might be able to keep in the mix to catch. You're not catching Montreal now, but you're still firmly in the mix. You just got to keep, this team just has to keep playing the same way, but they need a couple of more saves. Simple. And if they get, I think it's as simple as this. I think even without Jake Sanderson, if they get that, 885, 890, 895 type save percentage, I think they're going to win a lot of games. But the question is, are they going to get that on a regular basis? And that's been the story all year.
Right.
It's been better lately, but I still think when the chips are down, what are you going to get in that department when teams are so tight? So, like, Ottawa's really good 5-on-5. They'd be a very
Oh,
dangerous team to play in the playoffs, but you got to get there.
well, I mean, that first half of the game, Ottawa, I thought, dominated the first half of the game last night. Montreal did not, they weren't getting much offensive opportunities, and that's without Jake Sanderson. So I hand it to him. Green has a good defensive. He's got them playing really solid defensive hockey, especially 5-on-5. Very, very solid. And Montreal got that power play goal earlier, but 5-on-5, they weren't doing a lot. And I think maybe part of it was you just first came back home from a Western road trip, and maybe, in the second half, it seemed like Montreal started to outskate them a bit, as opposed to the first half, and maybe, the legs were a little tired or whatever, and Montreal got back in the game. I mean, you gave up 3 goals. You can point to the goaltending to a certain degree, but especially against a team like Montreal. Montreal's got 3 or more goals in their last 13 games, so the odds were that they were going to score 3 goals. You got to score more than 2 against a team like Montreal too, right? So
Yeah, no question. I think that's definitely part of where they missed Jake Sanderson, and that's definitely part of where Jacob Fowler came in and made some outstanding stops
he did
to prevent that as well. So I think there's a variety of reasons.
sure.
Like in an ideal world, if you only score 2, you at least get a point. You lose an overtime or a shootout or whatever it might be. But not meant to be, and you move on to the weekend.
Yeah, no, for sure. Now, so let's have a little bit of a state of the union here. Let's say, well, even if you do make the playoffs, let's go there then. If you think they're 50-50, and let's say they do make the playoffs, what kind of noise do you think? Do you think that they can win the division?
I think the East is pretty wide open. I think there's a number of different teams. Like, I think Buffalo's capable of winning multiple. Like, so let's just talk multiple rounds. Who do I think can win multiple rounds? Carolina can, but Carolina hasn't shown that they can win 3 and get to the finals. So they're okay, but they won multiple rounds last year. There's no doubt they'd be capable of winning multiple rounds this year. So that's one. Tampa Bay is definitely one. I think Buffalo is. I think Montreal is capable of winning multiple rounds. Like, I don't think Montreal is winning a Stanley Cup this year.
Probably not.
But like, they're on the right track. But they still need some players to mature to get to the next level. So like, but do I think Montreal can win multiple rounds? Absolutely. So like, that's the list right now. And look, once you get into the playoffs, you get a hot goalie, like, a lot can happen. But I would say Montreal, Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Carolina would seem like teams that can win multiple rounds. I think Ottawa, absolutely, if they get in, would join that list. And if they end up, like, that's where it really, like let's say you get, in whatever order, Tampa, Buffalo, Montreal on the 1, 2, 3 in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
So let's say Ottawa gets in. Ottawa might have a better chance to go deep if they got to the other side. As much as like Ottawa, Carolina would be a tough first round matchup. Then you get either Pittsburgh, Columbus, or the Islanders if you win that series. Big if. That's where I don't like the playoff format the way it is. Don't even get me started about how it's going to work in the West this year, where Utah's got a better chance to win 2 rounds as the 4th place team
Minnesota
than any of those teams, right? Like, only one of those teams is winning 2 rounds on the other side. So like, that to me is ridiculous. But like, I think it's time to make the switch and go to 1 to 8. Simple as that. But Ottawa, like, the last time Ottawa got to the conference finals, if you remember that year, it was Pittsburgh, it was Columbus, and it was Washington had the three best records in the East, and they
Right.
all, Pittsburgh ended up getting through it. Ottawa had the easier side of the bracket, beat Boston and the Rangers, and then then you
Yeah.
get Pittsburgh in the conference final, and you gave them a run. It's down to one goal, and Kunitz ends up
Yeah.
scoring it in double overtime. So, like a lot of times, you get that easier side of the bracket, and that could help. That's where Ottawa doubly could be as scary if they make it as if they go to the other side of the bracket, because all of a sudden, if Ottawa's on, let's say they make it, but they're staying on this side of the bracket. Well, my goodness, Ottawa, Tampa, Buffalo, Montreal, like those are whoever plays who, those are going to be great series and teams that are all capable of going through that. But on the other side, it just feels like there's opportunity. So, but those are the, like, of the playoff teams right now, those are the four that I think are the scariest that can win multiple rounds. But Ottawa would absolutely join that group if they get there, because if they get there, it tells you that their goaltending has stabilized. That last night was an aberration, and the last 10, 12 games is more an indication of what they're going to get down the stretch. But yeah, I mean, every team's got holes, every team's got flaws in a cap world in today's NHL. But, beyond the goaltending, could they use another score? Yeah. I mean, you can see that last night. Could you use another top four defenseman? Sure. Especially, with Sanderson out. But there's a pretty long list of teams that could use those things. And beyond that, like, they can roll four lines. They can feel comfortable, especially when Sanderson is healthy, with the, three sets of D that they put out there. And, in a 7-game series, when you don't have as many matchup problems, and especially when you're as deep as Ottawa is up the middle, with Stützle, Dylan Cousins, and Pinto playing all pretty good hockey right now,
Yeah.
it would be a very dangerous team to match up against. But as you said, they got to get there first, and they got a lot of work to do to get there.
Like, from Montreal's perspective, I hope that somehow either Boston or Detroit catches Tampa, and Tampa ends up fourth. So, and Montreal plays either Boston, or if they finish second, they play either Boston or Detroit, as opposed to maybe matching up with Tampa in that first round, who I mean, Vasilevsky, right? If he's on his game, that team with its winning pedigree, it'll be tough. But Montreal certainly has the skill and the talent now to match up against any team in the East. They're a little young, and it may be a little early for them, but skill wise, they're right there. And Ottawa, like you say, I mean, the stud on defense, the depth down the middle, they could be a tough team. But I agree, it's almost like if Tampa and Buffalo are 1-2, I almost think it's best if Montreal ends up with one of the wild cards and plays. I think they match up better against Carolina than they do against Buffalo and Tampa. But anyway, yeah, I hope it gets changed so that, even 1-16,
I don't think you can do 1-16 just because of the travel.
Not, but 1-8, 2-7. I still think, like, just don't make it complicated, right? Just have it.
It works in every other. It works in every other league in North America, and there's no perfect system. I get it, but to me, it's time. It's and you always need an impetus to make a change like this, and like it shouldn't be beneficial. For example, for Montreal, if they get to the last game and they could be a 3 seed and play Tampa or Buffalo, or a 4 seed, and maybe cross over and play Carolina on the weaker side. That shouldn't be even a thought, right?
No, you're right.
And the same goes for the Pacific this year, where, like, are you better off finishing first and getting Utah, or are you better off finishing second and maybe you get a team like Seattle? Like it shouldn't even be a thought process, but because of the way the system is set up, it's not good.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, let's have a look at whether the Sens make it or not. Just going into the off season here, no top 60 pick, no pick in the first 2 rounds this year.
Well, that was the big news today. They got 32, just like the Devils did.
Oh, they got it back. Sorry,
They got the pick
I've been
back.
waiting to hear. Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, congratulations, got the 32nd pick. Okay.
Yeah, so they can't trade it. It has to be used solely
okay.
for selection. But
Well,
yeah,
I'm
no,
glad.
they got the 32nd overall pick back. So that's a boost for a
Yeah,
team that, quite frankly, is thin in assets. Like you would have liked to have made a push for a Mackenzie Weegar, for example. But how do you make that trade when Utah's got the assets that they do and you don't? Like whether it's
right.
top end assets in the American Hockey League, outside the NHL, draft picks, like, it's pretty. That's part of the problem. They're as thin. Like the teams that are thinnest in those departments are usually the teams that Edmonton, Florida, that have been going for it here, and Ottawa's made the playoffs once, and the fact that they're that thin is not ideal. But I still think they got a pretty good core. So we'll see what the plan is in the offseason. Like the biggest thing is, what do you do with the goaltending? And I think we'll see what happens the rest of the season. But if this team misses the playoffs, I don't know how you can run Allmark back. Like if you buy him out, it's in and around 3 million spread out through 6 years. Like that's what they might have to do, is just
Yeah.
go in a different direction. Like,
So, what do you think of the decision to give him the 32nd? So the Stanley Cup winner is going to pick 31 then,
yeah,
and they'll pick 32. What do you think of that compromise? I guess you could call it.
yeah. I mean, I thought that was going to happen. Like we had a web poll about that earlier this week, and that was my vote. I thought that they were going to get the pick back, but it was going to be 32. Just the precedent of what happened with the Devils. I mean, the only difference is, like, Pierre Dorion is no longer with the organization,
Right.
whereas like Lou Lamoriello was still running the Devils when they got that pick back. So I think that's the only thing that you could have said to say, okay, well,
Yeah.
this is a completely different group here. But the bottom line is that it's unfair to Anlauer because
Oh no,
it's
sure.
he bought the team not knowing that this was part of the equation.
Right.
But the precedent told me that this was probably going to be the way it was going to be handled. And to me, if you're a Sens fan, you're happier. Look, it's no good if you miss the playoffs in particular,
Right.
especially if you win the lottery and move up. Like you're not going to win the lottery if you're the Ottawa Senators and miss the playoffs. Like you're probably going to be picking, like in normal circumstances, in the 15 or 16 slot, because the West cut line is so much lower than the East cut line right now, and I don't see Ottawa dipping below 10th. So let's say like they finished 15th and you win the lottery, you're moving up to 5. So you're not going to miss out on McKenna or Stenberg or one of those guys, but you're still missing out on a hell of a player.
Yeah.
And you'd miss out on a better player. Like 30, you'd definitely rather have 15 than 32. But the fact that you get 32 is, at least it's something. And, it's another asset that they'll be able to build with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the solution is just win the cup, and then you only have to move down one spot, right?
Yeah.
then it's all good.
Yeah. Pretty simple.
At least make the conference final, and then you're only moving down 3 spots or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, like I was looking at it there. So after this draft, unless you obtain a second round pick or a first round pick before the draft, you being Ottawa, you'll have made, the Sens will have made 4 top 60 picks in 4 drafts. I was looking at the at your U24 up for, like I like your future on defense. You've got some good picks high picks, and Hensler and Yakimchuk, and Elena's been hurt this year, but there's a few there. Maybe Eliason can figure things out if he ever gets a little more disciplined and on. But the future looks decent on defense. Sanderson's probably another 15 years that he's gonna, so. But up front, your U24, like Ridley Gregg really is your only player under 24 of any significance up front. Like I don't see any draft picks that, certainly not A prospects at forward, any of them.
No.
Gregg turns 24 in August, but at this point he's still 23. But other than Gregg, it's barren at forward for. So, like, just in looking at it from going forward here, obviously, I think they're going to target a defense or a forward with that 32nd pick in the draft this year, probably. What do you have? Do you think that they might, if they miss the playoffs, especially here, look at maybe trading a couple of the veterans to try to get a couple of top 90 draft picks to maybe fortify that forward position going forward?
Yeah, I don't see them trading core players now for picks or prospects. Like this is your group, and like you've got like Stützle's 24, Cousins is a reasonable age. Like you've got a lot of guys that are kind of in their younger prime years.
True.
Still, Brady's still in that mix as well. So Batherson's a little like more mid prime, but like that's a pretty good group. But you're right. The problem, like you got your mid 20s core, and that looks pretty good. But at some point, you need to backfill, and you need some more guys coming along. I do like. I think Stephen Halliday just gets better with each and every game. So that that's another good young player that they have. But you're right. Beyond that, like there's no one in Belleville. Like you could, like Arthur Kaliev's having a heck of a year down there, and we'll see. Like his legal issues need to get resolved before that's even a possibility. That could be one. Beyond that, but there's nothing else, unfortunately. When you look at it, it's thin. It's thin. Again, this team, like you look at the teams that, in terms of what they've got in their organization, and Ottawa's down there with all these contending teams that are in their Stanley Cup window. And you can't say Ottawa's there yet because they've made the playoffs once, and here they are out of the playoffs. This could be a team that competed this year, but the old ifs and buts and candies and nuts and aunts and uncles and whatever you want to say, right? Like they're not there yet. So I think for the window now, like if they can get their goaltending solved, they should be in pretty good shape to be a good team for the next few years. But that window is a lot shorter if they don't start to backfill and quickly with some diamonds in the rough. And look, this organization's been really good at finding some of those diamonds in the rough in the mid rounds. You look at Mark Stone, you look at Mike Hoffman, you look at Drake Batherson, like the JG Pajot, like they have done really well drafting in the mid rounds if you go back 15 years or so. But you're going to need a couple of those guys to come through in the next few years as well, along with making sure that like Tyler Boucher, unfortunately that was a top 10 pick, and like that was always a reach. Like I don't know where you had him, but basically yeah. And I talked to there's a couple of scouts that I really trust that usually lead me in the right direction. No one's going to be right on everybody, but But they said in the mid-20s. Like that,
Yeah.
that was a guy that, like, you can't be taking a guy
late first. Yeah,
like and it's unfair to him. It's unfair pressure on him
absolutely.
to say, well, go out and be a top 10 pick when you're not that kind of player. And unfortunately, the injuries derailed him and that sort
Yeah.
of thing. Like, I always remember when the people were comparing him to Tom Wilson. I'm like, Tom Wilson's 6'4", he's 6'1". Like, there's a big difference. Like,
and there was a lot of question mark because he missed, like, even in his draft year, he missed a lot of time with injuries, right? So
yeah.
it
So
was,
it's,
yeah.
and he's having one of the
Is he-
best years,
Oh, good.
like,
Good.
in a long time. Like, I think he's trending towards playing
Making the
games
team?
in the NHL, but
Okay.
I
Bottom
mean,
six. Bottom
oh
six.
yeah, like, he'd be a fourth line energy player for sure. Like, so
Right.
that's not going to be if he does find a way to stay healthy enough and keep that arrow up, and he gets to the NHL and he's a fourth line player, like, that's still not really what you expected out of picking 10th. So
Right.
that was a miss,
Hey,
but
every team has misses.
yeah.
And
So,
thank goodness.
but bottom line is they need some more hits and
Yes.
soon, because you got to start backfilling.
Yeah.
You need some cheap players playing at the league minimum that can help you,
Balance the cap.
in your lineup, because I know the cap's going up, but you
Gonna have to
you got to
re-sign
find a
Brady.
way to
You
get
think-
the next wave of guys, and so you need a Batherson or
Yeah.
a Pajot or a Stone in one of these drafts,
Oh,
a
yeah.
mid round steal that they've had in the past.
Well, what, Donnie Boyd was around for those picks, was he?
Yeah,
Well, hopefully Donnie can pull a rabbit out of the hat there. Yeah. And Brady, what's Brady got left in his contract? A couple of years?
3 years after this.
3? Okay. And we'll see if at that point it'll be interesting to see where they're at and what he'll be asking for, and if they re-sign him. But right now you've got like a 3-year window here. If you can get stabilized goaltending, that young, like you say, they're just hitting their prime, early to mid prime. So the next 3 years, this is a window here to win, right? But then at that point, Giroux's finally going to start slowing down.
He was good, but he was really good last night, Giroux.
He was.
He was really good. He's still.
That's why I said finally, because he's not slowing down yet.
Yeah, slowed down a little bit, but
well, I mean,
still a very useful.
Oh,
he's so competitive. So like, and that's why, like, you don't want to waste. It feels like a real wasted opportunity if they miss the playoffs with this group of skaters.
Yeah, for sure. And what's going on with the arena, do you think? When do you think that there's finally going to be a shovel in the ground?
Great question. I mean, the first hurdle was significant.
Yes.
But
we'll pause it right there, and I'll get to a few questions here before I end. We get into the arena and stuff, and don't want to be losing too many Habs fans here, because I realize it was a little Ottawa heavy on this one, but I'm going to get to a few questions, and then I'll finish off the interview with AJ. Apache Nation saying, "Hey Grant, good day, my man. Good day. H should be given a look as well, don't you think?" Absolutely. Hage is going to, I think I mentioned it at the start there, Hage, as long as there's cap room, but it'll only be the last 2 games of the year. I think they'll be able to, if they call up Reinbacher, and I think they will, they'd have to wait. And he may be playing till the last 2 games of the year anyway. If Michigan makes the Frozen Four, he wouldn't be, his season wouldn't end till the very end of the NHL regular season, and he would get in 2 games before the playoffs, an audition. hey, think back to last spring. Who got in 2 games before the playoffs? Fella named Demidov. Yeah, if they have both Reinbacher and Fowler up the rest of the year, the earliest they could see Hage is the 81st game. Cap stuff. See, there you go. Carrier is a liability. Bad move from day one. Bring him here. Too small to play defense. Will be targeted every playoff game. Tom Wilson started it. Well, you know what? I agree with part of that, but I don't know about the day one thing because you checked Montreal's lineup from before Carrier, BC, and AD. After Carrier, BC, AC. Before Carrier, after Carrier joined the club. The record, it was night and day difference. He did help stabilize that defense group a bit. I mean, they had David Savard on the right, and he did bring a little more mobility. He was a lot better last year, and until the playoffs. Yes, at the playoffs, he got exposed some, and I don't think he's been the same since last playoff. But at the end of, he helped Montreal get in the playoffs last year. I don't know that they do if they don't pick him up. So, just like Texier, at the end of the day, with all the injuries they had when they signed him, wasn't crazy about it, re-signing him and stuff. But as far as signing him when they did, if he doesn't score that goal last night, they may not come back. That kind of sparked him. And he had a couple of games earlier when he first joined the club where he was the first star of the game, and he was the main reason they won. So if you look back at the end of the season and they make the playoffs by 3 points or something, you can look at them signing Texier, and even though you may not be crazy about him, he helped them get there. So, and I mean, not everybody could step in and not look terrible. Like, he stepped into the first line from not playing last 4 or 5 games or whatever it was to having a spot on the first line, playing against other teams' top lines, and he scored a goal. So, I'll give Carrier some credit for helping the team make the playoffs last year, and Texier, at the end of the day, has helped Montreal stay where they are in the standings this year, even if, almost wish that they hadn't signed him, but that's another story. For Summers, Grant, both Hughes and Gorton mentioned at year-end they need to get bigger, more physical. Besides Bolduc and Dobson, who can they add from the farm to be more physical in the playoffs? David Reinbacher is the answer to that. And I'm hoping that it'll be next week. They might call up Sammy Blais again. Blais been playing well in Laval. He's one of those guys that he's good enough to be a spare forward on most NHL teams. I think Montreal just happens to have 14 of them right now playing with the team, and that's not even counting line ace. So it's just a numbers thing, but obviously there's no roster limits come playoff time. I could see Blais being called up. I don't think the other kids are ready. Like, I don't think Jackie's ready. He didn't really make a step this year in his progress, and Thorpe is he's too young. He needs more time, a couple of years, I think. Is Larkin for sure missing a few weeks? That could seal their fate. Columbus just keeps rolling, right? Simone saying pretty sure Columbus will knock out Pittsburgh or New York. Well, they could knock out Detroit too, right? Injuries to Larkin and Kopp. Yeah, Kopp got hurt too, and that really hurts them down the middle. I think it's going to put Detroit's playoff hopes in jeopardy. Columbus are knocking on the door. Well, Ottawa, if Ottawa wins their next 3 games, they're still in it. If they lose 1 or only get 3 points or lose 2, they're done. They have got to win their next 3 games, and then we'll see. But at this point, yeah, Columbus is the a little more favored than Ottawa to be the one that gets in. But they're both. AJ's right. They both have a chance of getting in yet. We'll see. It's funny how 885 and 890 percentage is considered to be good across the NHL. Well, scoring's up, I guess, right? Grex. The instant chemistry between Reinbacher and Hudson in the rookie camps makes me want to see if that is really a thing. With what you've seen in Reinbacher, do you think that would work well? Yeah, well, I was at that first development camp right after Reinbacher was drafted, and who'd they pair him with? Lane Hudson. They looked good together. That's why they drafted him. When you draft players, especially at the top of the draft, you try to project, okay, where is he going to fit in this lineup? Where do we project him to be down the road when he's ready? And I mean, Bobrov confirmed it when I talked to him about it. Like, yeah, that's that was the thought process. Hey, he could be a really good complement to Lane Hudson. I think they can be a pairing down the stretch and in the playoffs. I mean, Lane Hudson is Montreal's best defenseman as far as I'm concerned. And he's good defensively. He has the odd hiccup, but who can cover for him with his range, mobility, speed, size skating combination? David Reinbacher. AJ is host of TSN's Ottawa Sports Radio. Yeah, The Drive in the afternoons. Basically up against Mitch. Same time. It's too bad. The 2 of the best shows in Canadian sports radio, as far as I'm concerned, and they kind of at the same time. But yeah, AJ is a good guy. I'm happy Ottawa's getting their first back. I agree, Francois. The penalty was way too big for the mistake they made. Yeah, and the fact that the new ownership wasn't told that they were going to lose it. He buys a team and then they say, oh, by the way, you're not going to have your first pick in 2026. It wasn't fair to the new ownership, right? Don't even have the same GM still. I agree. I'm glad they got it back too. Habs have a couple of prospects, excuse me, who could see ice time in the NHL before the end of the season. Yep. Reinbacher and Hayes should get a look. Hey, you're preaching to the choir, my friend, Mr. F1 Alonso. Habs have the youngest and arguably most talent for the future. I agree. 16th of March. Cap-wise, the Habs will be able to call up another player 16th of March. Yeah, Thursday. Yeah, well, that's Monday. That's what we've been saying. So, yeah, that's good. Mark. Hey, Grant. Sorry I'm late. Hey, buddy. Better late than never. Sorry that I only advertised it. I've had a crazy busy afternoon. I did a show at 5:30 with Habs Digest, and then and then I had to do something with Liam. He got a new computer, made sure that was working, and then I had to do a thumbnail, all that. So I didn't have much of a window to promote. I didn't want to wait till 8. So anyway, understandable that people are coming in late here, and appreciate the tuning, my friend. Thank you. Thank you very much. By the way, hit that like button, please, if you don't mind. Much appreciated. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll finish off the interview. I got caught up pretty well here. Finish off the interview, then I'll get to the rest of we'll get back to the live chat here. Okay.
Paying whatever 30 plus million for the land is a lot easier than figuring out who's going to pay the hundreds of millions to build it. So yeah, I guess we wait for the next phase and figure that out. But like if everything went to plan, 2032, like it feels like it's into the 2030s
Yeah.
when this thing's going to be built, and hopefully it's not like 2036. But these
Right.
things take time, and there's always snags and frustrations, and so yeah, I
Well,
mean, I don't know how it's going to play out, but hopefully early 2030s they're playing downtown, which would make a big difference. And you look at the ratio of fans last night, and it's majority Habs again. Maybe
yeah.
not quite as many as the last game, but still pretty
Weekday
significant
weekday
Habs
ice
crowd.
storm. Weekday ice storm. You couldn't expect it to be a huge Habs
But
crowd.
but the reality is, it's not just people from Montreal; it's people
No,
fr-
Gatineau and
from
Ottawa. Yeah. Ottawa
exactly. And
Valley.
so, but I think you can tap into the Gatineau market a little bit more. Look, if you're a longtime Habs fan and you're in Gatineau, it's not like you're going to change. But can you
No.
tap in a little bit more if the arena's at Le Breton and
Right.
just across the river
Absolutely.
compared to at Canadian Tire Center? And that's and same with the East End, especially if and when you've got
Orleans and yeah.
LRT working from there, like
Well,
it's that that's hopefully going to be a game changer just in terms of like that those are two pretty significant Habs centric areas in the Ottawa area, and again, there's still going to be that, but doesn't mean you can't swing more people over when
sure.
they have more better accessibility to get to Le Breton and the new rink.
Yeah. And the next generation, hopefully, they don't all just follow in dad's or mom's footsteps with who they cheer for and stuff, and yeah, they can go to games and cheer for the Sens. Maybe it's almost a blessing in disguise that it's not going to be built before. Hopefully, they get this, the train situation worked out, because that's still a long ways away from being a functioning at an efficient level, I think.
Yeah, I don't take it very often. It's funny, every time I've taken it, it's been very useful, but it's got to be useful at
Got
a
to be
higher
running.
percentage. I think it's been pretty good the last couple of years in talking to people. Like, it's at a pretty high rate the last couple of years. And look, we don't hear about it. You're not going to hear about the LRT when
It's
when
good.
it's working. You're,
Yeah,
you're
that's
hearing
true.
about the problems, and right now hearing about the problems with the East
Yes.
End testing and all that type of stuff. So I don't know why these things, like, again, having grown up in Edmonton and my parents still there, I hear about the problems that they have with their LRT. I don't know why. It should seem less complicated than it is, but
Right.
again, I'm no expert on this type of stuff, so hopefully
Yeah.
they sort it out. But I mean, when you build it to specifications that are similar to what you have in countries that don't deal with our weather conditions, it doesn't always work
Right.
that way, right? Like, it seems
Uh,
to work fine when the weather's good, but
yeah.
weather's not always good here. As
Yeah.
you look at freezing rain last night, prime example.
Right. Well, but not only just like the existing um, uh, rails, but like they still haven't got out to Kinetic. It's still not built, right? And and they still have to, before it is, then it has to be hopefully functioning better than what has been in place so far. There's been a lot of roadblocks, but hopefully that's running smoothly, and you know, from anywhere in these suburbs and that, you can go take the train and get to the games, and it's, you know, everything kind of falls in place at the same time. Hopefully, like you say, around early 30s sometime, and you know, it'll be great, because I live 20 minutes from the Canadian Tire Center, and I don't like going to games, you know, because it's just so hard to leave after the game.
It's
Just
better now. It's like it's the last couple of years. It's a lot better.
Oh, well, I was there last year, and anyways, I still just find it frustrating. But uh, you know, hopefully this will. Well, it will. It will alleviate a lot of things, and all of the things you mentioned about. You'll start to get more of the Gatineau. You'll get more Gatineau fans. You'll get more just in the Ottawas, not only Orleans and such, but just even in the Ottawa Central, because it's going to be right there too. Eh? So I look forward to it. I hope the Sens make the playoffs. For me, always the more Canadian teams that are in there, other than Toronto, the better.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Hopefully, Toronto doesn't keep losing here too much. I don't want them to get a top 5 pick, and
6 would be perfect.
It would. So if the Sens are out of the playoffs, I noticed that you got a couple of games coming up with the Leafs here. If they're kind of gone, you know, I sort of hope that the Leafs beat the Sens at that point. But otherwise, I'll be cheering for the Sens, because I'd like to see them make the playoffs. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, no, it would be great if it's Edmonton, Montreal, Ottawa. I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to be tough for all 3 to get in. Feels like Montreal is just about there, where you can almost put them in pen. And, you know, Edmonton, couple of big wins over Vegas and Colorado. They might be like, they've been a frustrating team to watch this year. And they might have finally kind of turned the corner here, where they're ready to play some consistent hockey. And if they get in, they'll be dangerous again. But again, like, who's going to make saves for them? That's the question. Is it going to be Ingram?
Yeah, I hope. I think I have a weird feeling that Keller or Edmonton can do it again. You know, I mean, they certainly have the offense, obviously, and I like some of the moves that they made. I think they'll be dangerous, obviously. I'd love to see an Ottawa Montreal playoff series again. The ones in the past have been great, and too bad Montreal didn't add Eric Greiba to go up against Lars Eller in the first round. But you know, that's life. Listen, I've taken too much of your time already. I appreciate you coming on, and good luck with the Sens and the Oilers. Obviously, I mean, you grew up an Edmonton Oilers fan, right?
No, I actually grew up a Canadians and Blackhawks fan in the 80s and 90s. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I got a Chris Nyland jersey.
Yeah.
I really I started watching in about 84 because that was the Steve Penny run. I was more excited about watching the Canadian games on the French channel than I was about watching the Oiler games. So I started liking the Oilers in the mid 90s when they were bad, because I'd keep going to games, 10 to 15 games a year. And slowly but surely, like, you'd start cheering for them against St. Louis and other teams like that. And next thing you know, like, kind of fell hard for them. So yeah, but Montreal, like, I was a big Habs fan in the 80s and 90s.
Oh, well, okay, so you're not such a bad guy after all.
Yeah. So I was in the running for Dan Robertson beat me out for the radio job. I was in the last two. I called a Canadians game at the Bell Center in 2014 in preseason. Yeah. So, and I told the story about how I grew up a Habs fan, and I think he thought I was full of it. And I was not. I was telling the truth. Like I grew up. I was not like a Habs fan in like the Kovalev or Rachinsky eras or anything like that. But 80s and
Yeah,
90s, like absolutely those.
absolutely.
And you know he passed away within the last week. But Troy Murray was a family friend, so that's why it was
Okay.
Blackhawks. So
Okay. Oh, geez. Sorry. My condolences there.
yeah,
That was.
really, really good guy. Just
Oh,
someone that
okay.
always had the time for you, whether it was eight
Yeah.
years old going into the Blackhawks room and meeting all the players and getting autographs, or whether it was, you know, when I did my first NHL game, it was also 2014. It was Sens and Blackhawks, and he was working color on the radio broadcast. And yeah, it was amazing to have him there for that. And, you know, I
Yeah.
probably chatted with him before the game for, you know, over half an hour. So just superhuman being and gone too soon.
Yeah. Absolutely. So Habs and Chicago fans. So what? How did you feel about the Denny Savard, Chris Chelios trade?
I was more Hawks at that point.
Okay.
It was probably Habs first, Hawks second in the 80s until maybe around 89 or so. And then probably from like 89 until the mid 90s, it was Hawks first, Habs second. And then the Oilers kind of took
Okay.
that over in the, you know, in and around 96, 97 when when they played Dallas in that playoff series, that kind of cinched it. I knew my heart was in Edmonton. And then I moved to Ottawa, and it took a while to, you know, when I'm covering the team, it's a little bit different.
Sure.
But you want to see like the thing about, you know, covering the team and stuff. Like it's things are always better in your city when there's playoff
Oh,
hockey.
yeah.
And so like I want to see
All those
another deep
flags come
run.
out. All the flags, car flags come out. And yeah. You know, all that. It
Yeah.
is. No, springtime with playoff hockey in the city that you're in. That's I mean, I live here too, right? And absolutely, I want the Sens in the playoffs. I know a lot of Habs fans don't, and that's
Yeah.
fine because of the rivalry. But I'm not. Well, I mean, I grew up here, so you know, I'm never going to switch allegiances, but they are my second. When the Habs aren't in it, like all those years that you lost to Pat Quinn, the Sens lost to Pat Quinn there with Jacques Martin. I was not happy, because
Yeah.
Montreal wasn't close and they were out of the playoffs, and I was certainly rooting for Ottawa and still do as a second team. But okay, AJ, thank you so much, and I guess that's it for the Habs and Sens this year. So we won't be having another one of these.
Well, who knows? Maybe we get some playoffs. You never know.
Post game things in the regular season. But you're right. Like maybe that'd be cool. But we'll have to certainly get together. Draft time. Maybe don't be shy to invite me on. I'll get up to speed on the draft, and I'll be able to tell you who the Sens should pick at 31 in the
Yeah.
in the NHL
Well,
draft.
it's still not going to be 31 no matter what. It's
No. No, that's right. Eh?
That thing's locked in at 32.
No, that's right. Even if you win the cup, it's 32,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Good stuff. Okay, thanks, AJ. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too, Grant. Cheers.
Unmute the mic, Grant. AJ Jakubec, folks. Bet you didn't know that he was that close to being the doing the play-by-play on the radio for the Habs. Lost the job to Danny Robertson. Little tidbit that I didn't know, so I'm pretty sure you didn't know either that AJ was that close. AJ does Ottawa Red Blacks games. He's great play-by-play. He'd have been great covering the Habs too. Danny Robertson, of course, was fantastic. But he does, He does soccer, he does basketball, he does Red Blacks games, CFL, and the guy, I've never seen somebody that goes to as many events, sporting events, as this guy. He's down in Miami watching Messi. He's at the Canada games, qualifying soccer games. He's been to every Central Junior hockey and Junior B in the Ottawa area. Been to every rink, all over. He's just a sports junkie and a great guy, and I appreciate him coming on again. Most of the discussion here has been about the main topic. We'll get back to that, about Carrier. Just one thing here. Kenny saying, for some reason, I could see Michigan bowing out before the Frozen Four. Absolutely. But it sounds like he can't play before the last two games anyway, so I'd rather that they didn't. I'd like to see him play in a big, as big a games as possible before turning pro. So I hope they go right to the final. But there's always upsets in single elimination tourneys, for sure. Even the 12th seed in the Big Ten, Wisconsin lost to 22nd seed Ohio State 7-1 in the regionals the other day, like yesterday, 7-1 the 22nd seed. So, there's an example right there. Not only an upset, but they creamed them. So, yeah, one game, you never know. We saw that with Paling and St. Cloud State 2 straight years, right? They were the first seed in the friggin' nation, and they played the 16th seed in the Frozen Four and lost 2 straight years. So you just never know. I agree. Carrier was useful last year, but since the playoffs, he's been exposed. And this now very clear. They need an upgrade from him to be a contender. Yeah. Carrier has been great, but size in the playoffs matter. Took another hit last night. I don't agree he's been great. He's struggled this year, in my opinion. Francois bringing up something, and again, I don't know if everyone caught the start, but I'm not suggesting that Carrier doesn't play at all here. And somebody mentioned, okay, I might be the exception, but I still see a lot of positives with Carrier. Not a lot of 6-7 D-men have his production in the NHL, and he's battling hard defensively. Well, the thing is, Francois, he's playing 19 minutes a game. 19-21. That's not 5th or 6th defenseman minutes. So that's my issue. He's not being utilized as a 5th, 6th defenseman. He's playing 19 plus minutes on average this season, and that's too much. He should be playing the minutes that Jack Guy's been playing. Like, I want Reinbacher in, right? And I want Carrier to be the 6th defenseman on the right side, 3 on the right, 3 on the left. None of this switching over, because Hudson's best on the left, Gooley's best on the left, Matheson's best on the left. So have them on the left. Bring up Reinbacher, pair him with Hudson, pair him with Matheson, either one, but I prefer Hudson, and have Carrier with Matheson on the third pairing. And Dobson, Gooley, maybe like Gooley and Carrier as the third pairing. Then you've got a physical guy with a not so physical guy in Carrier. That's your third pairing. Dobson, Matheson, Gooley, Reinbacher, and Hudson, Gooley, and Carrier. And if Carrier struggles at come playoff time because of his size, like he did last year, then you bring in one of the other 2 guys and you play somebody else on the right. But, I'm not saying keep them out altogether, but I think he shouldn't be playing 19 minutes. He shouldn't be on the first PK. I want to see Gooley and Matheson as the top PK, or Gooley, you know, ideally Gooley Reinbacher eventually here, but just Carrier can't clear the front of the net. There's positives to him, but there's also negatives there, and more than just one. It's a size. I mean, some of his outlet passes under pressure and stuff. Yeah, I mean, we saw it last night, but that's happened often enough. And he's not. He takes too many hits. He's not, and he's not able to move guys from in front of the net, and especially on the penalty kill. You know, one of the big issues, I think, for why Montreal is been so poor on the power play this year, or on the penalty kill, I mean, is you know, they miss the long stick, the reach. Like, Evans played with Armia, and you had Armia, you had the 6'4", you had the length there. He can protect passing lanes, shooting lanes a lot better than you know, Evans. Evans, and the same goes with Carrier on defense there. So when you got Evans, Deneau, Carrier, Matheson, none of them have the like long reach, right? Well, they were effective last year in part because Armia could block. He got a stick in the way, and they don't have other their 4 top penalty killers, the guys that get out there in the first unit. None of them have, you know, have a long reach, and a lot of passes are getting through because the stick just can't get there in time because they're not blocking the passing and shooting lanes. So my preference would be to have more size, physicality on the first PK, and, you know, ideally for me, Carrier is playing 6 defenseman minutes and not 19, 20, which is not 5 or 6 D-man minutes. It's fourth D-man minutes. Like, if you look at, you know, the average, it's if it's not fourth, it's 4B. If it's not, you know, it's 4B. Not anyway. And Kenny's saying, if he had less ice time, I don't think he'd get as much hate as he does. Right. And I'm not saying, like, don't play him at all. They still need 3 right defensemen, I think. I just don't, I think you have to kind of match him up here a little better, protect him. Don't have him out against big physical lines. You know, if you can at all help it, don't play him, you know, 5 minutes on the friggin' shorthanded. Don't play him the last 2 minutes of the game protecting the lead. Like, I don't understand it. You know, he's being overused, and I think bringing up Reinbacher to take some of those responsibilities from him would be a smart move. I'm with you, Frank. Carrier has struggled lately, but the foundation of a solid contributor is there. How quickly we forget what he did last year. Well, okay, you could say how quickly we forget what Monty did last year. So should we just keep trotting him out there? Sorry, you can't live in last year. You can't live in the past when it comes to being a contender. And you know, hey, if they were 15th place or whatever, play Carrier 20 minutes a game. I don't care. But they're not. They're contenders. And, you know, yeah, you have to forget what players did last year. You have to forget that Evans was way better last year than he's been this year so far, except for the last 2 games. He finally we're finally seeing him play like he did last year. You can't forget. You have to forget that Monty was good last year, because if you didn't, Montreal's made the mistake of harkening back to how good Monty was last year. It's one of the reasons why they don't have a playoff spot wrapped up yet, because they kept, oh, well, he was good last year. Well, last year is last year. You can't, you got to live in the now. I was also thinking about Texia yesterday. He can jump on the first line and do an okay game. I guess that's why they signed him. Yeah, for sure. All right, get to a few more comments here. Carrier has a problem with consistency. There are games he looks good, and then he has those games where he looks like his mind is elsewhere. Yeah, overplayed. He shouldn't be playing 19 minutes a game. Carrier is just too small to be a regular. Makes no sense to have such a small defensive D. This is the sad truth. Does mean he's not going to give everything he can out there. Oh, yeah. I mean, you got to, for sure. Emil, I don't quite understand. I looked at that a few times. Early 30s and 2030s, some lowered expectations. Yeah, I don't know if you were understanding. We're talking about the arena being built downtown in Ottawa. Early 2030s. It's now 2026. They still don't have the financing in place. I mean, this has been 10 years already. So, to expect them to have that whole development, and it's not just an arena that's going to be built. It's a huge, complete transformation of LeBreton Flats. It's going to take a few years. So, in the U.S., it would take a few years to do what they plan on doing. But, I mean, they still don't have the financing in place and all of the I's dotted and T's crossed. So we're talking about the completion, moving into new arena in downtown Ottawa. You can't expect it to be, we're a quarter of the way through 2026 already. It's not going to be completed before the 30s, the 2030s. Not a big fan of the he's too small argument. I prefer to account for all the positives. Yeah. Okay. Well, he's too small to play defensive defenseman role. How many 5'11" defensemen are on first power play units or first PK units and play the last 2 minutes shutting down the league? There aren't too many. And the ones that are pretty special. I don't consider Alex Carrier to be special. I guess maybe you do, because you say there's all sorts of positives about him, but hey, he skates well. He's not a big point producer. I know you said his points are good, but again, for 19 minutes a game, his point production, it's all right. He plays on the most offensive, the best producing blue lines are second best in the league. So he's gonna have some points, but I certainly wouldn't call him a friggin' offensive defenseman. He scored a few goals this year, and every one of them was kind of just it got through. It wasn't because he blasted it, that's for sure. Even that goal the other night, goalie should have had that. I mean, good for him, he scored it, but it's just because the team's an offensive juggernaut that he's got points more so than him being an offensive defenseman in my estimation of any regard. points in 12-29 in ice time. So he gets a point every let me just quickly do my handy dandy math on that. 12.29 divided by 60. So less than a point every 60 minutes. I mean, it's acceptable, but, you know, I wouldn't call him a play driver in any regard, that's for sure. Among defensemen here, how many defensemen are minus? Okay. It's got the second worst plus minus. Harbor's got the worst. But to me, it's the role that he's being asked to play and the minutes that he plays. He's not big enough to do it. I'm not saying he's too small. I'm saying he's not big enough. I think there's a difference. But anyway, we'll have to agree to disagree a little bit on Alex Carrier. But getting rid of him doesn't solve all their problems. No, they still need right defensemen. That's why I was asking for him to get one at the trade deadline. But no, I'm not saying get rid of him. I'm saying bring up Reinbacher to replace that 19 minutes a game, because I think he's an upgrade. And I think the Canadians want the best possible lineup that they can ice, right? Loves soccer. Yes, he does. I would like to see Jarosky in a first for Schneider in the summer, or a second for Perbix. Oh, yes, Perbix, eh, Bontoon? Yup. Got to get Nick Perbix, who isn't physical, by the way. Go check out his penalty minutes sometime. Hage joins. Rhino gets called up. Fowler and Dobish and net. Seems like it's possible most of their issues can be found internally. Go Habs, go. Yeah. Then by how many years will they be the youngest team in the league? Whew. I love it. Not saying it's an overpayment, but considering we were getting Reinbacher, not sure it's the deal we need. Yeah. Habs haven't sized up to go further in the playoffs than last year. I say give the 6'3", 207-pounder really good hockey, playing really good hockey, some showtime over the 5'11", 174-pounder. Yeah. I'd be shocked if Reinbacher's not 215 now or more. I'm pretty sure, you see it all the time. They don't update weights like Hockey DB, and they don't get these guys on the weigh scales, right? I'd say he's Reinbacher's 215 plus at this point. I'd be shocked if he's not. I mean, and he's 6'3.5" too, by the way. That length, it's just important. Like, Carrier can't get to a lot of pucks. Carrier sucks ass, and the Quebecois are going to defend him. I wouldn't be going there with that Bontoon. Come on. We're civil here. That's not. I don't think that's the reason why Francois defending him, just because he's, I'd rather not be seeing those comments, Bontoon. I'm just a warning for you. I don't want to see that anymore, if you don't mind. Thank you. Carrier should be our number 6. Yep. We're on the same page, Sheldon. As usual, we usually are, buddy. That Manitoba perspective, eh? Hudson got rattled last night. His next test will be how he plays with a target on his back. Not the first time he's gotten hit. Hudson is playing way too many minutes. Yeah, well, that's why they need to get Reinbacher up there. Even him out a bit. Matheson, Dobson, Hudson, Reinbacher, Goulet, Carrier, exactly. I'm definitely good with the argument Carrier getting less minutes. Good. I figured you would be, Francois. I knew where you were coming from. You may have been misinterpreting. Hey, I gotta put in a headline on there that draws people to watch, right? I didn't think it was misleading. Just, I want Reinbacher to replace that 19 minutes and to Carrier to replace Jack Eye's 12 to 14 when he plays 12 to 14, right? I'm not saying to replace Carrier straight out. All I want is to give the kids some due. Just like Fowler came up for 10 games and sent back down. The experience was invaluable. Look at last night. Yeah, perfect. Exactly. I will be at the Penticton V versus Everett Silvertips tomorrow night. Anyone to keep an eye on? You will, eh? Well, good for you. I'll get back to you. Well, he wants stats. He is -3. He's not good on PK, and he's not strong enough to be effective at clearing in front of the net. Overused and misused probably describes Carrier's situation right now. Yeah, I think most of us are. Yeah. Well, yeah, I already addressed that. You can't look at last year. If we had a bruising decor, Carrier wouldn't look so small. No, but we don't. And, so that's it. That's an issue too. It's not his fault necessarily, but it's the team's fault. They didn't pick up Connor Murphy or Zach Whitecloud. So we're in the same dilemma we were in 2 weeks ago. Well, call up Reinbacher. They still got rid of their goalie. Yeah. The past is the past when it comes to. Yeah, I think the Monty ship has sailed, folks. I thought you were talking about getting the public transportation in Ottawa up to snuff, not the whole arena project. Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, and both you and AJ, I don't think quite like what I was saying was like they haven't got it built out to Canada yet. Like they've been building for I don't know how long, but it's not going to be finished probably till 2030. All of the lines, right? And functioning properly. But yeah, it's yeah. But what I'm saying is like get that working well first. Get the transportation, the alternative transportation up and running smoothly and completed before the arena's built. It's almost a blessing in disguise that the arena is not going to be built in a couple of years because the LRT may not be done still and functioning properly by that point. But yeah, it's part of it's Canada. You're right. Mind you, not a hell of a lot of infrastructure being built in the U.S. the last few years either, has there? Especially the last two. They don't even have infrastructure week anymore. Not even pretending to care about infrastructure. The government that they've got in place there now. If we had a bruising D, Carey would absolutely look as small as he does now. He's a good player, doesn't mean we have to stay with the status quo. Yeah. Yeah, but it just sorry, he's being misused. 19 minutes, first PK, shutdown guy to protect leads at the end of the game. I mean, damn. Till there's an upgrade on that, Canadians are not winning 4 rounds in the playoffs. I mean, I'd bet house money on that. If management wants him to be part of the future core, he needs the NHL experience sooner rather than later, especially playoff hockey. They take longer to develop. Yeah. I could definitely see getting a big number 6 RHD as a priority this summer. Yeah, it's possible. They might move on from Carrier after this year. We'll see. My comment about reach of Armia could Slav and Doc make sense on the PK. Well, Slav especially. I've called for it since the start of the year. I think he should be on the PK, personally. Gudish took out Matthews' knee. Toronto really trending to getting that top 5 pick. Yeah, I hope not. Calling up Fowler, for me, it shows the team management wants to go with the best players. For that, I can see Reinbacher getting called up. I agree. Absolutely. Do you see the Gudish? Did I see it? No, I didn't. Habs coaches are slow to adjust. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results is the definition of. Yeah. I don't know if they're insane there, Murray, but glad you just went ... Let's have a look here. What's going on? Leafs are leading 4-3 on Anaheim. Go Leafs, go. Columbus and Florida tied at 1. Come on, Panthers. Calgary 4-2 over Jersey. Tampa's beating Detroit 2-0. I guess that's good. San Jose 3-0 over Boston. Yeah. Yeah, baby. St. Louis 1-1 with Carolina. Washington, Buffalo 1-1. Come on, Ovi. Hat trick, buddy. Dallas 3-0 over Edmonton. Rangers and Winnipeg are tied 1-1. Philly is up on Minnesota 1-0. Can you imagine game 1 in the playoffs? Demidov, Kapanen, Fowler, Reinbacher. I mean, not out of the realm of possibility. Well, that's it. Yeah. Hudson. All the players under, under 23. Dovish. Yeah. But you're saying like 4 rookies. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, Montreal's average age, and don't forget Hage. Average Hage. They could be, I'm not discounting that Michael Hage is playing too. But, yeah, Bolduc's only 22. Freaking future is bright. The insanity has them sitting almost on top of the division. It's not all bad. Yeah, I know. Yeah. The inmates are running the asylum and doing a half-decent job, I guess. Hey, Mark? Okay, I'm going to give it, I'm caught up here. I'm going to go 5 more minutes. I haven't actually eaten supper yet, and it's 9 o'clock. So I should probably do that. 5 more minutes? Sound good? You got quick questions? Ask me now, because I got to, I have to go eat. Okay, Glenn. Take care. Looks like I'm caught up here on things. Another quick look. Calgary's up 5-2 now. Life after Kadri. last time AJ was on, if you caught it, we had a pretty good discussion about Kadri. He thought the Habs should pick him up, and I was not on board with that. He told me after he admitted he's not a big Kadri fan either. Okay, no WHL games. No WHL games tonight. I think it was pretty quiet, Sked. In the KHL. Yeah. They haven't been playing too many. College hockey, nothing till tomorrow night. Like I say, the upset, you never know what could happen, but I don't think they can sign Hage till play him till the last two games anyway, so I hope they go to the Final Four. Time to watch my stint on Habs Digest. Yeah, it was I had a good chat with those two. I hope you can. Kenny, you have a good night as well. Thank you, Grant, for your time and insight as always. Thank you, Mark. And thank you for your donation as always. Who was your top defenseman in the 2024 draft? Ooh. That's a good question. Let me just go back and have a look. I think it was Buum. I friggin' moved those guys back and forth about 100 times. It was tough. Tough to rank them. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had Buum. I had Buum first. Salayev, I couldn't. I had him low, and then I moved him back up. I don't know. He might end up not being 3 friggin' points in the KHL this year. He definitely didn't take a step up, but big guys can take time. So it's a little early to be judging that draft class. But if I recall correctly, I think I had Buum first overall among the defensemen. But that, like I say, I changed my mind. I don't know how many times on that group. It was tough. It was tough to rank them. It really was. Have a good supper. Thank you. Certainly a fun draft year. I really liked them as well. I think I personally had Buum, then Dickinson. There you go. Edmonton down 4-0. All right. Well, I'm going to go watch a little hockey, I guess, and get a bite to eat. Thank you, everyone. Liam and I are doing a show 1 o'clock. He's doing a live show tomorrow at 1. So hopefully you can tune in. I might do something tomorrow night. We'll see. I mean, busy time of year, right? But 1 tomorrow afternoon, Liam's doing a Montreal forum. He hasn't done one for a while. He's got some interesting stats as always that he'll throw at us tomorrow. So I hope you can tune in. We'll do a live HabsCast. I'll probably come on after, answer some questions as usual, all that. Ooh, 5-0 now. Okay. Thanks, Francois. You have a good evening too. Everybody, have a great night. Thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you tomorrow. Okay, bye for now.